All right, if you're gearing up for the LCPA, you already know RFBT is an absolute monster. So today, let's zero in on one of those super tricky topics that can either cost you points or win you some easy ones. SSS coverage for OFWs. We're gonna make this stick. Okay, let's be real. RFBT is just massive. And when you're in that exam room with the clock ticking, it's so easy for the little details, like the specific rules for OFWs, to just vanish from your brain. So forget just memorizing. We're going to build a mental model, a simple framework that you can pull up instantly when you see that question on the test. So here's the game plan. First, we're going to hammer down the one new golden rule you absolutely cannot forget. Then we'll split this into two clear paths, one for sea-based OFWs and another for land-based. After that, we'll quickly cover what happens when their job overseas ends. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with a killer bullet review, your ultimate cheat sheet for exam day. All right, let's jump right in. Section 1, the new golden rule. And seriously, this is the most important takeaway from the entire law. If your brain can only hold on to one thing from this whole topic, this is it. Okay, here it is, the new golden rule. Under RA 11199, SSS coverage for all overseas Filipino workers is now compulsory. That's the keyword. It's not optional anymore, not voluntary like it used to be. For any OFW under 60, it's a must. And because this is a major change from the old law, you can bet it's a favorite topic for exam questions designed to trip you up. Okay, moving on to path number 1, sea-based OFWs. Now here's where we get into the nitty-gritty. The law splits OFWs into two groups, and trust me, the board exam loves to test you on the differences between them. So getting this part straight is absolutely crucial. Let's start with the sea-based folks. So for anyone who works on a ship, a sea-based OFW, the number one thing you need to remember is who the law considers their employer. And it's super simple. It's the manning agency. That's it. The law is crystal clear. The manning agency here in the Philippines is their legal employer. End of story. And because the manning agency is the employer, they have some serious responsibilities. The key legal term here, and you need to burn this into your brain, is joint and several or solidary liability. What does that mean? It means the SSS doesn't care who pays as long as someone does. They can go after the local manning agency, the foreign principal, or both. They're equally on the hook. And get this, it's not just the company. The actual people in charge of the agency can face criminal charges if they don't comply. It's that serious. All right, path number 2, land-based OFWs. Now, you got to completely shift your thinking here because the rules are totally different. But here's the interesting part. This whole setup for them is just a temporary classification. It's not meant to be this way forever. Okay, look at this. This comparison is gold for the LECPA. It's a classic exam question setup. On one side, sea-based OFWs are treated as regular employees of the manning agency. But on the other, land-based OFWs are currently treated as, get this, self-employed persons. And that's a huge deal. Why? Because it means, for now, they have to shoulder the entire contribution, both the employee's share and the employer's share. Big difference. So you're probably asking, why treat them as self-employed? Well, think of it as a temporary workaround. The law actually has a 3-step master plan. We're currently in step 1, the temporary phase. The ultimate goal, step 3, is for the DFA and DOLE to negotiate what are called bilateral labor agreements, or BLAs, with other countries. The whole point of these agreements is to make the foreign employer directly responsible for paying the employer's share, turning the OFW into a regular, compulsorily covered employee. Okay, next section. What about after the job is done? An OFW's contract ends, they come back home. What happens to their SSS? Does it all just disappear? Nope. The law actually provides a really smart way for them to continue their benefits. And here's the exact provision. The key phrase is, may continue to pay contributions on a voluntary basis. So even though their compulsory coverage as an OFW ends with their contract, they can choose to keep paying. And this is so important because it means they can maintain their rights to full benefits. We're talking about making sure all those years of hard work abroad count towards their retirement pension. It's a huge deal. All right, we've made it to the final section, your LECPA bullet review. We've gone through the big rule, the 2 different paths for OFWs, and what happens after their contract ends. Now, let's condense all of that into the ultimate cheat sheet, the one slide you'll want to mentally save for exam day. Okay, this is it, your mastery slide. Let's run through it one last time. First, the golden rule. Coverage is compulsory for all OFWs under 60. Got it? Good. Second, there are two paths. For sea-based OFWs, the manning agency is the employer, and they have solidary liability. For land-based, they're currently treated as self-employed. Third, remember the goal for land-based workers is to get those bilateral labor agreements in place. And finally, after employment ends, they can continue paying voluntarily. If you can lock in these core concepts, you're going to be in great shape for any question they throw at you on this topic. So now you know the rules, and that's what's going to get you the points on the exam. But let me leave you with a final question to chew on. It's one thing to have this law on paper, but how does the Philippine government actually enforce it? How do you make sure thousands of different employers in hundreds of countries are all paying up? Thinking about those real-world enforcement challenges, well, that's not just about passing the LECBA. That's starting to think like a real CPA.